Hello, this is John Dempsey. I'm the course leader for the Forensic Computing and Security undergraduate honours degree and uh, master's degree at the University of Central Lancashire. And today, for this virtual open day tour, I'm going to talk a little bit about what forensic computing and security is, and why you should come to UCLan to study the subject. I'm going to introduce our team, the kind of things that we do, the careers and the careers that are available to you and the careers that our graduates actually go on to. I'll also talk a little bit about the course. Okay, right, let's get started. Right, why choose forensic computing at UCLan? Uh, there's lots of different reasons. As the course leader, I get to see our team, and I think that we have a really passionate team of staff who teach you. They're not put away in some room somewhere. It's actually members of staff who will actually come and sit in the labs with you, give you feedback, help you improve your work, help you learn. And we are all really passionate about our subject, whether it's the forensic work or the security work. Most of us, in fact all of us, are research active, so we're involved in finding cutting edge knowledge in this subject area. And with that, we formed this security and forensic research lab, the Safer Lab, or Safer Lab in Computing, Safer Computing, which is all about making sure that our research is based in the real world and that it also can be brought into our teaching, and it informs our teaching so that we can actually give real world examples of the research that we've done. For example, my own personal research is around privacy and specifically privacy, usable privacy for children, and I bring that into my lectures quite a lot. We've got visiting fellows. These are industry-based staff from related companies. I don't want to say on this presentation the companies where they come from, but we've got a forensic investigator who works at the director level, and we've got a security analyst who's highly placed in a large security company, and they come in, they spend 16 hours each year coming in, talking to students, providing opportunities to students, and even just helping students to network and meet other people within the industry. And those relationships have worked really well, and our students have gone on and they've come back 5-10 years later and they've said how important those visiting fellows relationships actually are. We have a dedicated forensic computing lab. It's normally open for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We will see what happens in September. If the COVID situation's still here, then it's unlikely to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But we will make different arrangements instead. This course leads on to fantastic employment opportunities. In 2018-19, the graduating class at graduation, 100% of the students had already secured employment. So they finish exams towards the end of May, and the graduation ceremony was middle of July, and within that month and a half, 2 months, the students had already, all of them had found a graduate job, which is really the whole reason why you want to come to university. Expand your knowledge, test your intelligence, but ultimately to secure employment. We have a Capture the Flag club. This year we invested £3,000 and bought a student based Capture the Flag server. This is available for students to do whatever they want. And we've developed this club so to help people develop this capture the flag, basically hacking um, and skills so that they can enter the British Computer Society's Cybercrime Cup, which happens once a year. And interestingly, we also have this community investigation team project. This is a volunteer opportunity which is run from our forensic lab. It's to help look for people who've gone missing, either recently or a long time ago. And we use forensic skills, we use open source intelligence skills to actually see if we can find things out to help the families of the people who have gone missing. Okay, so there's far more reasons than that to come and study forensic computing at UCLan. It's a great place to come. I've mentioned the team already. These are just like the key personnel. There's 35 members of staff in the School of Computing. These are the key ones for forensic computing. Obviously, there's me. I'm the course leader. Not only am I the course leader for forensic computing and security, but I'm also the university's digital safety advocate. So I do other stuff at kind of like a higher level as well. Then you've got Graham Parsonage. Graham his experience is in mobile phone devices or mobile devices, the investigation of, but open source intelligence and the investigation of computers as well. Dr. Max Hashemizer. Max is interested in digital evidence and incident response, but also in security. And a lot of Max's research is specifically around security protocols for things such as smart cities. And he's recently written edited a book about smart cities. Then we've got Dr. Vin Ta. Vin, again, his background is in security. Famously, he was involved with the team who identified and reverse engineered a very important piece of malicious software, malware. So his responsibility at UCLan is he does a lot of pen testing and kind of like the governance side of and risk assessment side of cybersecurity. We've got Dr. Amanda Gregory, who we call Peggy. Peggy, again, Peggy's research is in agile and project management and software engineering, but she comes to talk to us about law. That's where Peggy is important for us on the forensic computing side. We've got Chris Finnegan. Chris Finnegan's background is he was running a large network with thousands of users in a computer system. He's recently joined us, and his expertise is around computer security. And then we've got Mr. Dr. Zimmerwu as well, who will be in charge of final year projects. And that might seem like a really long, far way away. That's at least 3 years until you get to your final year project. However, it's one of the most important parts of your work at university. Okay, so what kind of careers could you go on if you wanted to do a forensic computing and security degree? Well, this is an impossible question to answer accurately. So instead, what I'll do is I'll give you lots of different examples, and really the world is your oyster, and it all depends on what you want to do, where you want to work, how much you want to travel, etc. If you don't mind moving to a big city like London, Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, and even there are some small companies in Preston that will do e-disclosure. Okay, e-disclosure is it's where you do forensics rather than investigating a crime. It's where you do forensics between two companies, for example, where one company might sue another company and put the company under what are called disclosure obligations. They use the same kind of skills. It's not the same, but it's all based around the same kind of idea as criminal investigation. Incident response. A lot of big companies are now employing incident response teams, and that's the kind of exciting first responder, I'm being hacked, what should I do kind of thing. The collection of evidence, and then making sure that the correct evidence is actually collected so that it can be followed up afterwards. There's a lot of jobs in these areas, but again, a lot of them are things like Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and they're based in the big cities mostly. You've got an awful lot of security operations centres which have opened up in the last 5 to 10 years. Very difficult to explain exactly what they do, so I've just put managing network traffic. There's far more to it than that. It is about making sure that small companies who give out this role to these operation centres, what they're actually doing is they're making sure that these smaller companies are not being targeted through either a direct hack or an indirect hack, and they will do it by looking at the network traffic, or they'll look at the quality of the data coming in and out of the company, and they'll be using it to kind of identify if something is going wrong. And there's an awful lot of these that have opened up in the last couple of years, and a lot of my graduates nowadays go on to work in security operations centres. You've got the boutique forensic companies. These are small companies who are working indirectly for the police, or are indirectly working for civil or for defence. And generally these are things like computer-based forensics, mobile device forensics, and there's honestly there's not an awful lot of these jobs going. Most of the jobs are around incident response, e-disclosure, and security operations centres. But there are jobs, and there's lots of opportunities for placements and short work experiences with the boutique forensic companies as well. And one of our visiting fellows is from one of these boutique forensic companies, and he can give you an insight into what it is you need to do to be able to get into them. You can go and work for the police. You're not doing a policing degree, so you're not going to become a police officer, so you might become a police support staff. So that's somebody who works with the police, probably in the digital media investigation unit. Again, that could be a broad range of things. You might be involved in obtaining evidence from a crime scene. You might be involved in obtaining evidence off digital devices, or you might even be involved in the investigation of the contents of those devices, and then reporting to a police officer, so the police officer can then investigate further. Network security, huge, massive amount of jobs. If you've got a network, which most businesses do, then you need that network to be secure. And if you're not having security on your network, you're going to get hacked. You're going to get all your company secrets stolen. There's going to be a data breach. So all these companies with computers nowadays, that's everyone, they need people to secure those networks. Okay, but there's also, we found that people will go through to the forensic computing degree, finish their degree, and then they want to take a sideways step. So you will do a lot of computing. You'll become good computing graduates, not just forensic computing. And so there are other jobs that you might go into. So you might become a programmer, you might become a database administrator. And again, it's such a broad range of different things that you can do that it's almost impossible for me to put a list up on the screen. This is the course, okay? If you remember on the first slide, we've got the BSc Forensic Computing and we've got the MComp. So the BSc Forensic Computing is the first 3 years. I'm not going to read all of this out. It's based on year 1, year 2, year 3. Your first years are what we call our common first year. Okay, this makes sure that everybody's up to the same level. It'll also give you insights into not only what forensic computing is, but what networks, cybersecurity, games development, software engineering, computer science, what all of the courses. It'll give you the insights. So at the end of your first year, whilst it's still common, you can then decide whether or not forensic computing is still the best option for you. And we allow that flexibility because quite often people come in thinking, yeah, I want to be a forensic investigator for the police. But then after a year of understanding what actually goes on in networking, they would actually prefer to be a network security analyst instead. So that flexibility is really, really important. And that's what we've put into our first year. If you do come to UCLan, do consider becoming a cyber specialist or cyber volunteer. Lancashire Constabulary are they recruit people who can go and work with their team and try and problem solve various different things. And it's a good way of getting experience. It's a good way of improving your CV. In the second year, this is where you start to specialize in the forensic computing and security aspects, and you'll do things like digital evidence. Okay, you cannot do a digital investigation correctly if you have mishandled the digital evidence. So we'll give you all the core skills that you need to be able to become a specialist. Digital forensic tools and standards, that will introduce you to a broad range of the tools that you will use and go on to specialize in. And then you get to choose one option from these three listed. So we call this streaming. You can either stream on programming, networks or databases, and there's a corresponding specialist module in the third year. At the end of your second year, you can take a year-long placement. These are normally paid for. They are year-long. You will become an employee of a company. Go and spend a year. You have to write a couple of reports and you get some academic credit for completing that. When you start your third year, this is where you will focus on the specialist skills required to become a digital forensic investigator. Okay, or a security specialist. So you do DFI, digital forensic investigation, pen testing, that's advanced cybersecurity, ethical hacking, get to know about the law, and you do your project. And this is the key thing about doing a project. Your project is a demonstration of all the skills, knowledge and competencies that you've built up over the last 3 years. And it contains a little bit of everything. And it's something that once you're finished, you'll be able to take it to an employer and you'll say, right, look, this is what I can do, which is very, very different from going to an employer and saying, I've got nothing to prove it, but this is what I'm going to tell you I can do. If you can actually demonstrate you can do it, you can show them, then there's a lot more reason why they will believe you. Okay, we've also got the MComp. The MComp is called an integrated master's. It's not the same as an MSc, but it makes the BSc into a 4-year course, which makes the funding slightly different. To be able to go on to the MComp, you need to have got a minimum of 55% average over all of your second year marks. And then when you go into the 4th year, which could be the 5th if you've done a placement, but year 4 of the course, these are the modules that you would focus on. There's no options, and it's all about specializing in security and making you independent and able to work independently within the security field. Really, really important. This is a really practical subject. Pretty much everything has a practical aspect to it. We do use a lecture and practical kind of model. Some classes have got 2-hour practicals. Some classes have got a 1-hour lecture followed by a 1-hour practical. And the lectures are normally used to provide the underlying theory to explain how it all works. And then the practicals are used to apply that theory to a theoretical or a practical situation. So for example, I might in a lecture talk about what's called an investigative process model, which is kind of like a loose series of steps that you might undertake to investigate digital evidence. But then in the practical class, I would actually give you some evidence, and I would say, right, there's the evidence. Here's the question I want to be answered. Use this process model to actually answer that question. And you go through that process model, following the steps to make sure that you could actually answer the questions. We do a little bit of teamwork as well. Nobody works on their own. Once you graduate, you will be working in a team. So it's really important that you develop some team working skills. So we do some group projects. For the last couple of years, we've done mobile device investigations for a group project. This year we did capture the flag, and we're going to continue with that capture the flag, and we're going to link it with the capture the flag club. We use all different kinds of assessment methods. Again, it's too many to list here. We've got practical based coursework, we've got research based theoretical coursework. So the practical stuff is go away and do something, the research is go away and find out about something. We have examinations, okay, in the first year and second year they're typically 90 minutes long, and in the third year typically they are 3 hours long. That might not be completely accurate depending on a load of things. You might have extra time allowed in the exam. Some exams might be closed book, some exams might be open book, and so on. You might do presentations. Some people really don't like presentations. They get a bit nervous about them, and we will help. Okay. Again, when you go out to work in industry and somebody says to you, give a presentation, you're going to have to do it. So we will give you cope mechanisms, especially if they make you anxious or nervous, and we will help you as much as possible. And we do, as I said before, teamwork and skills, so we do group-based development and presentations as well. It's really important to work and to know how to work in a team, because quite often you join the team because your friend is in the team, but you didn't realise, but your friend's got a different work ethic than you. They like to do work on a Tuesday night, whereas you like to do work on a Sunday morning. And being able to manage that, so 2 people or 3 people or 4 people or 5 people get to cope and learn how to work with others is really, really valuable and important. I've already mentioned the year-long placement. We've had some really, really good placements. We've had some really, really interesting placements. You can also do a short placement with whoever. It might be the police, it might be a boutique forensic company. You're probably not going to get a short placement with a much larger company. Never say never, but it's probably not going to happen. You've got lots of volunteer opportunities available to you as well. I've already mentioned the cybersecurity specialist and cyber volunteers, and this community investigation team for missing people, that's a project that we started recently. We started the project actually after the COVID lockdown, and we're working with a community interest company based in, I want to say, Devon, who they are accessing the police cold case crimes for missing people, and they're using open source investigation skills between 2 universities, the University of South Wales and the University of Central Lancashire, and we are kind of bouncing ideas off each other, and we're looking for new information and new intelligence that can help the family of those missing people. And we've, in particular, this first one, we've been looking at a young boy who went missing 24 years ago, and we are finding out interesting stuff which people publish freely on the internet. So that's a really good opportunity to be involved in for the future. In the past, students have come to me and said, John, we want to go on a field trip. Can you organise it if we go to? And I've helped them write up applications for funding from the university centre, One year we managed to go to the Digital Forensics Research Workshop in Amsterdam. The following year they went to Dublin for the same conference. This year students went to the BCS Cybercrime Cup, and I'm hoping next year that they'll actually enter the Cybercrime Cup as competitors and win. Um, there's lots of support available throughout. You've got a course leader, that's myself. My role is to kind of lead the course, to identify where the course should go. We don't want our course to become stale and stuffy, so I need to keep an eye on what's happening in the industry. I'll do this by talking to people in the industry, and I'll make industry-based links. I will invite people to come in and talk to you about what they do and what they are doing and where they think the industry is going to lead. You'll also have an academic advisor, and this will be someone who can provide you with advice and support on the general academic side, but also the things that impact on your ability to do the academic things. So for example, they might be able to provide you advice and support on where to go if you are unwell, if you are having difficulty with finances. That academic advisor will be there. They can signpost you towards the correct help and support across the university. We've also got student coach. The student coach will help you learn to become a learner. Learning at university is slightly different than it is at school or college. You don't get as many opportunities to I'm saying that wrong. You do. You get loads of opportunities, but you don't get as many opportunities to get written feedback as you might at school. The feedback is dealt with differently at university than it is at school, and there can be a transition between a school college learner to a university independent learner. And one of the key outcomes of any university course is for you to become independent. We've also got the I. This is a student-focused one-stop shop where all the university help and support can be accessed, which is currently based in the library, but I believe it's going to move to the new student support centre that's currently being built on the Adelphi Square. Rather than talk about our students, if I direct you to that webpage, there are some case studies available and short videos. These are from current students, previous students. And go and listen to them. Go read through their testimonials and things like that. Also, I haven't put my email address on there, but my email address is jpdempsey, jpdempsey @uclan.ac.uk. If you search for John Dempsey Forensic Computing UCLan, it'll take you to my staff page, and my email address is on there anyway. Okay, so that's the open day presentation. I hope it's been okay and answered most of your questions. Please do get in contact with me if you've got any more. Okay, thanks very much.